It's Community Day. Hey everybody, and welcome to Engine Gremlin. I have a very special episode for everyone here today. Today we are having our very first episode of Community Day, where we're going to be showing off the somebody else's build in the community. I have with me here Jerry, who is from Alabama. Jerry, thank you so much for letting me take this time to interview you. I know you have a very cool, exciting build that I personally have been following, so I'm anxious to hear more about it.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me.
So Jerry, and I'm going to get to your car here in a little bit. Tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been tinkering with cars, playing around with cars? What's kind of your experience? I love the background you got behind you. I can see that looks like the Mach 1 behind you, the Ford V8 parts
Yes.
there.
Yeah, we're down in my man cave right now. I've loved cars since I was a kid. Growing up, my granddad was into racing dirt track vehicles, trucks and cars. Had an uncle who raced cars, and they were always building something, doing that. My grandmother had an old Corvette Stingray growing up, so just always grew up around cars. But I really, have always had kind of a soft spot in my heart for Mustangs. My dad bought my mom a new back in 1988 the 50 LX because it was a little bit lighter than the GT and had the
Mhm.
5 speed and everything. So growing up, that's what she had, and then my granddad also had a '92 GT. My dad always wanted to buy and restore, an older Mustang, and unfortunately, he passed away. It was 5 years ago this November, and he never got to do it.
Mm.
So not long after that, we my uncle and I were over at a friend of at his place, and his friend, his name's Mylan, has always built cars. He's known as the Ford guy, kind of in Central Alabama as far as old Fords. He has a couple of 65 Galaxies he's building right now. He's got
My father had one of those
yeah,
growing up.
huge, land yacht. Um, he's got a '69 Mustang that's his race car. He's got a '66, and then he had this other '69, and he was talking about, he's got too many cars, wanting to kind of do something with one of them and get rid of it. And I'd asked my uncle after we left. I said, what do you think? He'd do that and sell it for, and because I've always worked on my own stuff, even though I'm not really in that line of work. People kind of look at me funny when I tell them what all I've done on vehicles. But as far as that goes, whenever we talked to him, he was like, "Yeah, we could definitely do that." And it kind of started off as a project of just kind of getting one that looked good, ran good, and would be reliable. And of course, it's morphed into more of a performance-oriented resto mod as we've gone on. But yeah, I mean that's kind of what got me into it, and kind of how the project started.
Okay, but yeah, so very cool. It's so you got a little bit of a soft spot for Fords then,
Oh yeah,
particularly for the Mustangs. Huh? I'm a little bit more agnostic myself. I say that having this my first project car be a Mustang. Uh, your name on Instagram is Building Baba Yaga,
yes,
um, and so I assume that there is a little bit of a connection to the John Wick series
very
there
much
with
so.
for the inspiration of this car.
Very much so. So I get asked a lot because the car was originally, I forget the exact Ford name for it, but red. So I'm not going original with that. I'm going with the paint scheme from the car from John Wick. So it'll
Black on
be
black.
the gray, like the metallic flake gray with the black
Yeah.
satin stripes. Yeah, yeah. So, but that's where I got it from. Just after seeing that car, I think around the same time that started the project was the first time I saw that. I went a few years without seeing the movie and saw that, and it was kind of like, why not? Everybody that's
It's a
hell of
great
work
looking car.
for the '67. Why not do a John Wick tribute?
Nice, nice. Yeah, no. So John, if my memory is correct of John Wick's car, it's a 1969 Ford Mustang Mach 1. Specifically, it is a Boss 429.
Yes,
Now, the one they use in the movie, I don't think is a real Boss 429, but that's what it's
it's
supposed to
not.
be.
You can really tell by the hood scoop. So now my car is a Mach 1. It was
Yep.
a M code, I believe. So that was a 351 Windsor. I had the automatic overdrive in it. It was a power steering car, but did not have air conditioning originally.
Gotcha.
The motor and transmission are not with the car. I'm not doing numbers matching because I am resto modding it. So
Yeah, no, that's understandable.
Don't really need that. But the motor and transmission were not with the car.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they only made about 1,400 of those Boss 429s, so the original ones, and they are rare. And they sell for a pretty penny. I think an average 429 sells for a couple $100,000.
Yes,
if it's in good condition. So, you sent me some pictures earlier of your car, so I'm going to go ahead and share those over here. So
sure. Yeah, so this first picture is kind of like when we first got started. I think I've technically kind of decided to do this mid to the end of 2017. I think this picture was taken in 2018, so we really didn't get started. We pulled the glass and everything out of the car. It's in there, and we have all the original. At some point in time, someone put a different hood on it. I'm going back with the standard.
I was just going to say that's a pretty bumped up hood. What did they throw underneath that thing?
I do not know, but as far as that goes, I've actually got the new hood sitting here in my basement, just waiting for everything else to be done. So, but yeah, this is kind of how she started. She's a little rough, as you can see. We once we got into it, it had a little bit more rust than what we were thinking it actually had, just because it's just kind of a shell, but it's not in that bad of shape looking at it, but in the typical spots, the door seals under the cowl and places like that had a pretty good bit of rust. So
Yeah,
as you can see here,
it looks like you had to take out that rear left quarter panel.
yes, so we took that out, took out the taillight panel, just everything in there. We had to replace one little spot on the frame, as you can see right there, but really, that's kind of it. Everywhere else, which you can see on my page, that we've done, we've either taken out or completely gotten rid of the rust. And there's not a single piece of rust on the car right now, but there's a lot of new panels. There's a lot of repair that went into it. One thing that didn't get a lot of pictures of, you can kind of see it in some shots. We actually keep away any future rust, we treated most of the places that it had the bad rust with 415. And painted that on, so hopefully it'll actually prevent it from doing that.
So going back an image here, this is the motor you pulled. Did you end up reusing the block for the Windsor, or did you start ground up on the motor?
So no, this is actually the motor that is in the car. This is a 351 Cleveland, though, so it's not.
It's Cleveland.
Not, so yeah, we with the Cleveland, with those massive heads and how much air it can move and power it can actually put out, wanted to do that. And this is the motor. So it was a complete tear down. One thing I wish I would have included and sent it to you. There's one where it's completely torn apart. We're cleaning it, but we've gone through and there's nothing original except for the block on this motor.
Okay, all right. So you've done total ground up, save for the block then.
Yes. Yeah. So this one, I believe it originally had 2V heads. It's we put a 4-barrel on it. Well, actually, going 4V heads, it's going to have a Holly Sniper fuel injection on the car.
Okay.
So now, and I'll be completely honest. Yeah. So this is it. She's getting ready to be put in the vehicle now. As you can see in another shot, we've actually got the new Tremec TKX already installed on it. So I'm really excited to get to play with this thing. I think that this transmission just came out in November of 2020.
Yep.
So, really, I'm excited to play with it. Supposed to, and just to let you know too, I got this perfect fit kit from Stangaholics. They're great, with that, everything that they do and provide for that, but it's supposed to completely line up without any really having to modify the transmission tunnel at all. I was originally looking at the Tremec Magnum 600 with the 6-speed, and the guy there at Stangaholics says, "Hey, have you looked at this?" And I really hadn't, because I had really looked at the TKO and kind of where we're estimating the power is going to be. The TKO may or may not have done what it needed to do, because we're thinking this is going to be somewhere a little over 500 horsepower, close to that in torque as well.
Naturally aspirated?
It is.
So I take it, have you bored and stroked it then? Because that's quite a bit to
Yeah,
squeeze out
yeah.
of a 351.
It's stroked to 393. It's a hydraulic roller, cam. Comp cams, I think it's a 290 HR that we've put in it. It's going to be fuel injected. Basically, I mean, we've lightened everything. It's aluminum heads, everything that's going in. It's aluminum. So really
Yeah,
light.
I love those billet aluminum heads. I remember when you posted this picture, and I went looking at those, and I went, "Oh man, that looks good."
So in all the accessories that I got, I went with the serpentine conversion from I think it's CDF Racing. Didn't go with the one piece. Mine is going to be a two belt system, but all of it's going to be that kind of matte black, so it's really going to contrast really well. I think it's going to look really good.
Now you said it didn't originally come to AC. Are you going to add in accessories like AC or?
Yeah, I'm going with I plan on driving this car. It's not just going to be, I'm not an everyday driver, but not a trailer queen either.
I totally understand, and that because I understand those who have their trophy cars and they want to keep them, nice. That's for me. I'm the kind of guy who cars are not only meant to be driven, but older cars. A lot of people are like, oh, you can't change them. You got to keep them how they were, and when you really think about the history of a car, when the Mustangs and the Camaros first came out, they didn't keep them as they were. They were modding the heck out of them. They
Absolutely.
were resto mods of their. I mean, they weren't a resto mod. They were just a mod
Right.
back then. But so my viewpoint is on cars like these. You shouldn't feel bad about treating the car how it was treated 30, 40, 50, in some cases 60 years ago.
Right.
That's what we're doing here at the Engine Gremlin channel with the Mustang is we're turning it into a resto mod.
So, and that's exactly, my point. I wanted to have the look with, I mean, you're gonna be able to tell it's a little bit different. It's gonna sit a little lower. I went with a little bit larger wheel, and honestly, I like the way that the 15s look better on it, honestly. But as you can see in another shot, I'm updating the suspension quite dramatically on it. So I want to be able
Yeah,
to.
so it looks like you've got a coil over four link in the rear here.
Yes, so that is the rear coilover with the cradle from RideTech. So it's got the RideTech coilovers on there with the Fox Racing shocks and the Hyperco coils that come with the kit. And what really kind of sold me on this, there's a video that they have on their website, and it's actually I think it's 70 model Cutlass, and then they go out to an autocross track, and they do a lap with it with the stock suspension, and that it's leaning over, the wheels are cutting to the side, and it's wheel hopping, and it's making its way around the track, but not very well. So then RideTech pulls it off, and I think they in 4 hours or something like that, they put this roughly the same suspension on it, and they cut I think 14 seconds off the lap.
That's an eternity in race time.
Yeah. And I think the original lap time was like 1:17. So I mean, it cut a tremendous amount of time off. And the car, I mean, it just rides flat. And if you haven't looked at it, it's on, like I said, it's on their website. But it's not the cheapest kit, but it's definitely not the most expensive. I'm also doing the front end conversion as well. We have not started on that yet.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of what we're doing right now. This is not, I mean, it's in place, but it's really a mock-up right now. What we're doing is making sure that everything is lined up, all the holes are drilled, everything is done, because once we do that, we're actually going to pull everything back out and get the body ready for paint and get it done that way, so we don't have to weld or cut or do anything else on it.
Obviously, you're a little bit farther ahead than I am, and you're gonna probably beat me to wheels on the ground and rolling. So you will have to tell me how you feel about this RideTech suspension, because I have been thinking about reaching out to RideTech about one.
I definitely will.
Cool. Yeah. So RideTech, if you're listening, feel free to reach out because we'd be interested in a set of shocks. All right, that's awesome. So, one thing I've been wondering about is, like, I'm a little jealous of where you're building this car. It looks like you have a nice big space. You have a lift. Where are you at? Is this a like your own shop? Is it a friend's shop?
So Mylan, the guy I was talking about earlier, my uncle's friend, that they've known each other since high school. They built cars together and did that. His actual job, he works like in electrical, like goes to travel all over the states and builds like industrial pumps and repairs those things. So he's on the road a good bit, but his hobby is working and building cars. and he's been doing that forever. So this is his shop at his house.
So his hobby is spending the money that he makes.
Exactly. So there's 5 or 6 cars in that shop right now. He's got a couple lifts, and I mean everything that we've done to the cars is there. I mean he has everything that we need to do there. So
that's awesome, man. So tell me, shoot, I got a couple of questions I want to ask now. So what's next on the build for you? I mean, it looks like you've got your tranny mounted to your engine. Looks like you still got quite a bit of body work to go.
Yeah. So what's going to happen now, you know, and you'll probably see right now, I actually went down this past weekend, the motor's in the car. I didn't put a picture on there. I just wanted to get that posted out there. So the motor's actually in the car. We did that.
Okay.
We are measuring for the drive shaft that comes with that kit. They actually were nice enough that, you know, you don't have to order everything. So we're going to have it perfectly made exactly for the measurement of the car. Get that all, you know, get that, and then we're pulling everything out of it. And it's just going to be the shell again, and we're going to be, you know, putting primer on it and finding any areas that need a little bit of work and getting that taken care of, and then hopefully get it painted, and then the fun begins and actually gets starting to really get put together.
Oh yeah. So I think what a lot of people don't realize, for people that, you know, are thinking about doing a car or restoring a car, because some of them are particularly easy. You know, if you find a car like, say, a Bronco that has a lot of aftermarket support, there's a lot of documentation, there's forums and support out there for those builds. Is you're not actually building a car, you're building a car about 4 or 5 times.
Right.
Because you got to put it on, fit it up, take it out, do the other stuff, put it on, fit it up, take it out, do a final full system checkup, take it all out, paint it, put it all back in. So
and just hope that all the holes still line up, and you don't have to do anything else.
Yeah, exactly. Ooh, did I ding that?
I'm keeping some parts of the interior from the original car because it's in good shape. The problem was that car, or at least the interior that he has, is like, is in one of the pictures you can see, is like I think they call it like something like something metallic blue. So we're not using those. I am going to have to dye a couple of pieces of those black, but for the most part, I'm going with mostly TMI stuff from that I got from a couple of different places, mostly CJ Pony parts. I think I paid their electric bill at least a few months last year. But I got their sport, or their Pro Sport R series seats that look like the 69 Mach 1 seats with the red trim, but it's bolstered like a more modern seat. And I'm not gonna lie, I sat down here in the seat and watched TV and hung out in it, and may or may not have made motor noises a few times. But no,
well, your seats were clearly cleaner than mine. Mine had sat in a barn for 33 years.
Well, that's how the rear seats are. Which, I mean, I think I posted those, which I have not gotten them upholstered. I actually do have all the stuff to do that, but after watching how to do it, I'm not going to attempt that. Because I don't want to mess up my new stuff that I bought. So I'm going to take it to a local place here. They're really reasonable on what they're charging me to do it too. But it's going to be, you know, it's going to look exactly like, well, it's going to look at first glance like a regular Mach 1, but of course with the more modern front bolster seats. I'm putting a 3-point seat belt in there as well.
Yep.
You know,
1968 was the year that they implemented 3-point harnesses
as an option.
I think in 1968 was the first year that it was mandatory, but only for the front seats.
See, I thought for some reason you could still get lap belts in the front. I thought in 70 it was like they always did, but the holes are still, like you said, the bolt holes are there. But I thought
if you had the bench seat, I think it came.
And maybe that's it.
Default with belts or with lap belts. Maybe.
So,
internet. I'm sure the internet will correct.
Right.
And correct or wrong.
I just wanted to make sure that I had the 3-point. You know, just for safety. If it did or did not.
Exactly.
It is what it is, but trying to make the car as safe as possible. Because, like I said, I am going to drive it, and it is going to, hopefully perform pretty well. And that's I kind of had started about that earlier. I'm actually going with a larger size wheel simply because I put the time and effort to put the new suspension, the new transmission, the new more powerful motor, tightened up to putting the subframe connectors in it, tighten it up. And if I went with the 15s, I'm stuck with either, Cooper Cobra GTs or the BF Goodrich Radial TA. So not really the most performance oriented tire. So I'm probably going to go with the BF Goodrich G4 Sport Comp 2s for it. Just from what I've read, and I'm going to probably do it all season on there just because it does get cold here during the winters too, and
Mhm.
driving the car. But yeah, just trying to bring as much of it up to modern convenience without being totally um, making it look weird or perform.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah. Jerry, thank you so much for letting me take the time to interview you and telling us about your build. It's very exciting. For those watching and listening out there, where can they find you and follow your build?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at Building Baba Yaga. It's just like it sounds, and how they spell it on John Wick. So at Building Baba Yaga. And as far as that goes, I appreciate everybody. I think, I know you've been following me for a while. We've been talking back and forth about this, and I really do appreciate everybody's interest, and it helps keep me motivated, especially when we've had some delays and some other things. But hopefully we'll have the car. I'm crossing my fingers. Sometime around summer is really what we're kind of shooting for. So all the tedious and time consuming stuff has really finally been finished and should be the fun part now.
Awesome, awesome. Well, if I'm ever out in Alabama or you're ever up in Denver with the car, we'll have to meet up so that I can check it out in person.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, again, thank you very much. One last question for you before we go. This is the all important question. What is going on the shifter knob?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. Well, hey, you can't rush. You can't rush the decision on the most important part of the car.
That's right. That's right.
So, Well, cool. Well, thank you so much. And if anybody in the community out there has suggestions for Jerry here on what he should put on a shifter, feel free to let him know on his channel at Building Baba Yaga on Instagram. Jerry, thank you so much, and I will talk to you again in the future.
Yes, sir. Y'all have a good one.
Hey everybody, and thank you so much for watching this week's episode of Community Day, and thank you so much to Jerry for spending the time and talking to us about his car and sharing his story. We really appreciate it, and it is an awesome build. Be sure to check out Jerry at Building Baba Yaga, or Baba Yaga as I like to say. You let us know who's right. On Instagram, it really is a fantastic build. The John Wick inspired Mach 1 Boss Ford 29, just mwah. So yeah, fantastic. Also, if you would like your car featured in an episode of Community Day, let us know. Let us know in the comments. Tell us about your car, tell us about your story, or let us know on Instagram, Twitter. Send us pictures. Let other people know. We want to know, and we want to share those stories around with the rest of the car community, and we want to spread those stories. So, as always, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys next time. Hey everybody, and thank you so much for watching this week's episode of Engine Gremlin. If you like what you saw and you like what we do, please consider liking and subscribing to our YouTube channel. It helps us make better quality content and on a more regular basis, and I would really like to hire an editor someday. You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram. Links are down in the description. And please consider donating to our Patreon page, like our YouTube channel. It helps us make better quality content on a regular basis, and ultimately it's going to help us make a better quality car in the end. So, like I said, thank you guys so much again for watching this week's episode. I will see you guys next time.